Your body is quietly storing enough data right now to fill roughly 200 gigabytes, and it's doing it inside something so small you could fit 1 million of them across the width of a single human hair. We're talking about DNA. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at yourself, or anything alive, the same way again. Fact number 1. If you unraveled every strand of DNA from every single cell in your body and laid it end to end, that chain would stretch approximately 67 billion kilometers. Let that land for a second. The distance from Earth to the Sun is about 150 million kilometers. Your personal DNA chain would reach the Sun and back more than 200 times. Every single person walking around carrying a biological thread that dwarfs the solar system. Scientists at the University of Leicester confirmed this calculation in peer-reviewed work, and it still sounds completely made up. You are, in the most literal possible sense, astronomically complex. Fact number 2. The entire human genome, the complete instruction manual for building a human being, contains approximately 3.2 billion base pairs of genetic code. But here's where things get genuinely strange. Only about 1.5 to 2% of that code actually codes for proteins. That's the stuff we used to call genes in the classic sense. For decades, scientists looked at the remaining 98% and called it junk DNA, assuming it was evolutionary leftovers doing nothing. The ENCODE project, a massive international research collaboration that published landmark findings in Nature in 2012, shattered that assumption completely. They found that approximately 80% of the genome has measurable biochemical activity, regulating genes, controlling timing, influencing which cells become brain cells versus liver cells. Your DNA is not mostly junk. It's mostly a control system we are still only beginning to decode. Fact number 3. Here's the one that genuinely breaks people. You share roughly 60% of your DNA with a banana. Not metaphorically. Not loosely. 60% of the functional genes that operate in a banana plant overlap with genes in your own genome. Both bananas and humans need to manage energy at a cellular level, replicate DNA, handle basic metabolic processes, and protect cells from damage. Evolution kept the same molecular tools running across hundreds of millions of years of life because those tools worked. Push further up the biological ladder and you share about 85% of your functional genes with a mouse, about 96% with chimpanzees, and a staggering 99.9% with every other human being on Earth. All the visible diversity of humanity, every face, every height, every hair texture, lives inside that 0.1% difference. Visualize that as a color chart, 99.9% identical blue, and a paper-thin sliver of unique variation. That sliver is everything you think makes people different. Fact number 4. DNA is the most dense information storage medium ever discovered in the universe, and it isn't even close. In 2019, researchers at the University of Washington and Microsoft demonstrated storing 1 exabyte of data per cubic millimeter using synthetic DNA. For context, 1 exabyte equals 1 billion gigabytes. Every movie ever made, every book ever written, every photograph ever taken, every website on the internet, the entire sum of recorded human digital history could theoretically be encoded into a volume of DNA roughly the size of a grain of rice. Hard drives, flash drives, cloud servers, all of them are laughably inefficient by comparison. DNA has been storing and transmitting complex biological information for approximately 3.8 billion years without a power source, without internet connectivity, and with a built-in error correction system that catches and repairs millions of copying mistakes per cell per day. Fact number 5. Every time a cell in your body divides, it has to copy all 3.2 billion base pairs of your DNA with almost perfect accuracy. The molecular machine that does this, DNA polymerase, copies at a rate of roughly 1,000 base pairs per second. It makes one error approximately every 100,000 to 1 million base pairs it copies. But here is what makes this absurd. Your body then runs a second-stage proofreading system that catches and corrects the vast majority of those errors, bringing the final error rate down to roughly 1 mistake per billion base pairs copied. Human engineers building computer memory chips aim for error rates of around 1 in 10 billion operations under controlled factory conditions. Your cells are running a biological equivalent, spontaneously, in a warm liquid environment, tens of trillions of times simultaneously, right now, as you watch this. The precision is so extraordinary that when scientists first calculated it, many assumed they had made a mathematical mistake. Fact number 6, you are not entirely you. A 2012 study published in PLOS One by researchers including Dr. J. Lee Nelson at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center confirmed something called microchimerism, the presence of genetically foreign cells living permanently inside your body. If your mother ever carried you in the womb, some of her cells crossed the placental barrier and embedded themselves into your tissues, including your brain. Those maternal cells have been found alive and biologically active in adult humans decades after birth. And it goes the other direction too. Fetal cells migrate into the mother and persist for decades. There are verified cases of women in their 70s whose brains contained cells carrying male Y chromosomes, traced back to sons they carried in pregnancy 40 or 50 years earlier. You are a genetic mosaic. Part of you, at the cellular level, may literally be your mother or your child. Fact number 7, ancient viruses make up approximately 8% of the human genome. These are called endogenous retroviruses, or ERVs. At some point in our evolutionary past, in many cases over 25 to 50 million years ago, retroviruses infected the ancestors of early primates, inserted their own genetic code into the host genome, and that viral DNA got passed down through reproduction like any other gene. It is now permanently woven into human DNA. More striking still, some of those ancient viral genes have been co-opted by human biology for critical functions. The gene syncytin-1, which is essential for forming the placenta and allowing mammals to carry live young, originated from an ancient retroviral insertion. Without a captured viral gene, live mammalian birth as we know it may never have evolved. A virus that infected an ancestor roughly 130 million years ago may be a non-negotiable part of why you exist. Fact number 8. And this is the one that changes everything. DNA proves that every human being alive on Earth today shares a single common female ancestor through the unbroken maternal line. Scientists call her mitochondrial Eve. She was a real woman, not a metaphor, not a biblical reference, a real Homo sapiens female who lived in Africa approximately 150,000 to 200,000 years ago, identified through mitochondrial DNA analysis pioneered by Alan Wilson, Rebecca Cann, and Mark Stoneking in their landmark 1987 paper in Nature. Mitochondrial DNA passes only from mother to child, never mixing with paternal DNA, creating an unbroken genetic chain backward through time. She was not the only woman alive, there were thousands of others. But every other maternal line eventually died out. Hers didn't. Trace any person's maternal line far enough back, any person, anywhere on Earth, from any culture, any background, and it leads to the same woman in Africa. You are not metaphorically connected to every other human. You are literally, genetically, descended from the same mother. So here is what we just established. Your DNA would wrap around the solar system 200 times. It is 98% mystery code we're still decoding. You share 60% of it with a banana. It is the densest information storage system in the known universe. Your cells copy it with a precision that embarrasses human engineering. Part of your body may contain your mother's living cells. Ancient viruses are written permanently into your genome. And every single human alive traces back to one real woman in Africa roughly 150,000 years ago. You are not just a person. You are 3.8 billion years of unbroken biological information, refined, copied, corrected, and carried forward to this exact moment. That is not a metaphor. That is molecular fact. Subscribe to Moonlit Minds for daily mind-blowing facts that will change how you see the world.